All right. So I was in Vegas this last week and hanging out with Snoop Dogg with Brian Davis. I see your face and some of the others on here. Snoop was he was more Snoop the DJ versus Snoop the old school rapper. What was your takeaway on Snoop, Brian?
The same. We kind of wanted to come out on the stage and do some work, but yeah, it's really just a DJ. Still
Yeah,
fun time, but
yeah, it was. And then I went and I was leaving about halfway through it because I had to get up at 4 a.m. for a flight. And I was behind, then I realized the best place there was right behind him. So there's like a little balcony that you could stand on. You're just right over him. You got to see all of his special VIP guests and whatnot. And so that was a really good place to be. I was out there with Jared Montz and Luke. So good to see you guys. Hey, we got some Luke is why don't you some of you guys introduce yourself that are new here? I see, and Neil was out there as well. He came to the party that Jared organized and I paid for. So I don't know what was a harder thing, paying for it or organizing it. I think you had the harder part, Jared.
I think you did because you had to keep the staff happy from yelling.
Oh man. So this is no joke. So my wife, she sent an email, a message to me, and she's like, "Where are you going, Vanderpumps?" And I'm like, "I don't even know what that is," but she's like, "Looks fancy," and she's like, "That's not the shindig. That's like the anti-shindig because it was so much more fancy than out here in South Dakota." But anyway, I get there and they said, "Sorry, there's a huge line and no room." And I'm like, I sent Jared a text in panic. And then the guy organizing everything is like, "Don't worry, I've got you taken care of." And I'm like, I've heard this story before. It's, make me feel good right now. And then the answer is no in 30 minutes. But anyway, we were able to put probably 40 people back there in total. But the big manager was not happy with us because every now and then a foot crossed the aisle into the way of the waitresses and servers and whatnot. So at one point, about 2 hours into it, that guy came up to me and he's like, "Hey, if somebody gets in the way one more time, I'm calling security." I'm like, "Dude, don't call security. Just tell me, I'll pay the bill. You'll save me some money and you'll ruin some fun for people." But I'm like, just like us to get kicked out of Vegas, like we are like the people that should not be getting kicked out. But he was ready to kick us out, which was kind of funny. So anyway, I was in Vegas with a lot of folks out here. Some of you are here new to the mastermind. Why don't you just introduce yourself? And Neil, why don't you start, buddy? Where are you? I lost you on here.
Right here.
Oh, there you are.
How's it
Introduce
going,
yourself, man.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thanks for the drinks, by the way, first and foremost.
You're welcome.
Those are great drinks. Those are great Vanderpump drinks. I've been wanting to try that place for a while, so thank you. Yeah, my name's Anil Kundanani. I grew up out here in Las Vegas, Nevada. Grew up in the casino supplier industry, worked for Konami Gaming. COVID hit us pretty hard, so I got furloughed a couple times. Started looking at other options and different franchises, looked at a bunch. Eventually ended up buying some territories of Perspire Sauna Studio with a partner who's also my dad. And it was interesting growing up in the casino industry and honing my skill sets and trying to get as much as I could out of that. So I'm hoping it translates over to franchising pretty effortlessly. So really excited about it and happy to be here.
Dude, great to have you here. He and I worked when I was a consultant, which I'm no longer a consultant. I think most everybody knows that. But when I was a consultant, I was working with him, and then so now we get to work together now. So it's awesome. Luke, you leveled up, buddy.
Yeah, stepping in. Met a few of you guys out at the Sodax Shindig. Finally pulled the trigger, joined the mastermind here, and super excited about it. So I have a stretch lab by myself in Parker, Colorado. And then I do consulting kind of full time in the heavy industrial IIoT for machine automation. And then recently I partnered with another Stretch Lab owner in Texas, and he and I bought a 3-pack in Colorado Springs. So we're going through lease negotiations for that. And I got to sleep on the airplane next to Eric on the way back yesterday because we were crazy and decided, hey, why not catch a 5:45 a.m. flight after staying up all night watching Snoop. So happy to
That's right.
join.
I'm glad you clarified on the airplane, and just to clarify a little bit further, we were in separate seats and I was behind him. So just to make sure that's clarified to everybody out there.
I was going to ask who provided the shoulder.
Well, I was thinking big spoon, little spoon,
Who was a big spoon?
Luke's like 100 feet tall, so he would have been Big Spoon. So, and that's not an understatement.
This organization has really changed, Eric. I think we're changing our strategy here a little bit.
Speaking of some changes, and there's some other new members here, but Luke joined the Scale Mastermind. And I helped him get into Stretch Lab. And I got a point in this. I want us to be kind of more vocal about what brands are working well out there and what brands may not be working very well that we're a part of. So Luke and I are part of, and Brian and others in here are part of a brand called Exponential Fitness. Some of their brands are absolutely doing very well. Some of them aren't doing very well. So I think it's really, I think we want to start having some of the conversations around the brands that are doing well. We will do what we can to help brands that aren't doing well, but the brands that are doing well, I think it's really interesting. And Joe, Atia, and others own KidStrong in here, and you have seen the success of that out of the gate, as well as Chris Elmore in here, who hasn't opened yet, but they're having success with that brand. That brand is successful with most of their franchisees. And I think it would be interesting. And then like Anil's part of a new brand, but it's in a really interesting space. I would say it's unproven right now, but that's one I would say keep your eye on. But as franchisees are having success in a model, I want to be able to have more conversation around that, more like validation conversations that we will record and put up. That way, other people out there looking know what is happening and what's working well. There's another mastermind member in here as well, and I don't see her right now. Her and her husband, but they own Crumble Cookies, and Crumble is obviously a successful brand, but that may not be obvious to everyone, and success may not be the same to everyone. So I think it'd be interesting and helpful for all of us just to know the brands out there where franchisees are having success. And I had conversations with Luke and his new business partner. I'm like, how much money are you making? And are you at the top or middle or bottom performer in those? And I got when you're friends with people, you get really accurate information. When you're just validating with some stranger, you don't get that accurate information. So to take that a step further, I thought it would be interesting to not only have some of these brands in here, or us that own some of these different brands talk about it, but I also can go to a lot of these brands with my past history as one of the top brokers in the country and say, bring your brand into the mastermind, not as a broker, but give us a broker referral fee, and I'll split that at some type of percentage with the mastermind member. And so let's say it's LE Family Services. And I know there's somebody else that bought LE Family Services in the mastermind. And I've heard really good things about that. I knew about that brand before they were a franchise. And if you want to talk about LE, you can, Joe, but I was just saying how we want to bring in a brand like LE or KidStrong or whatever brand is having success out there, bring it into the mastermind group, do a call with the founders, do some validation calls as a group. And then if you as a mastermind member end up buying that brand, then you get we split a broker commission. I'm not going to be a broker, but I'm going to negotiate. I already have with Ellie. I've negotiated a commission that a broker would normally get. And that way I can, have a split with you guys. If you're part of the Scale Mastermind, it'll be a more generous split. If you're part of Grow, it's going to be a less generous split, but very generous and money that you wouldn't have had before. So that's one of the new things that I'm working on. I'm doing the same thing with Boulder Designs. I was out in Vegas And I was out there looking at Butch, the principal in that brand, do a show at the rodeo. And I couldn't believe all the leads that were coming in. They'd come in, they'd look at buying a rock, and they would leave interested in buying a franchise. And Jared was there as well. Jared, what did you see? Just like quick 1 to 2 minutes on what you saw out there. But the point of this is I want to bring Butch and that brand in to give a generous referral fee as well. And with that one, since I'm part of that brand, I'm not going to take any cut out of it. It'll just go straight to all of you guys, since I'm about to have some decent amount of equity in that brand. But Jared, what did you see with that brand?
Kind of like what he described. People would walk by, and I wore a flannel like I am now. And I was like, hey, Butch, what's the target market? What do these go for? And then next thing I know, I was just chit-chatting with people, starting the qualifying process, and I'd pass them off to Eric or Butch. And it wasn't too hard for the people that got it. But yeah, the people that got it. And what was interesting from the franchisee potential owner, a little more blue collar, those types of owners tend to work really hard, have some money saving. They choose to drink Budweiser instead of the hipster beer. And it was neat to watch it work. And Butch, that guy Butch, cares a lot, and he works really hard and talks to a lot of people. It was very impressed. I made 1 or 2 phone calls in the background because I thought it was pretty solid and interesting. And I would call it those boring businesses that tend to crush it.
So I didn't know what Jared was going to say, obviously, but he said something that I think is extremely important for everybody here. Butch really cares. And you're not going to know that unless you have inside information, because everyone's going to say that they care and put on a front that they care, but not everyone really cares. So it's that type of information that we really want to start getting out there into your hands. So anyway, that is something that is coming for the mastermind in 2022. So we'll start to have brand calls. And so if there's a brand that you're looking at, or you're getting close to buying or whatnot, then reach out to me and be like, hey, Eric, can we include this brand into the mastermind brand opportunities? And I'll get on a call with them. And guys, there's so much value in having, 80 franchisees that are actively buying new brands or multi-brand franchisees. There's so much value to a franchisor, right, Terry? I mean, how much value is that to a franchisor? So they see it. So I'm just trying to brainstorm of more ways to make this group more valuable and to be helpful for everyone. Also, you will have education on brands that you wouldn't have anywhere else either. So you can, if you have friends that are looking at brands, you can just give that information to them as well and be knowledgeable on some of this stuff. So anyway, that's coming soon in 2022. We will probably start with LA Family Services. I would love an introduction to KidStrong. I know I had the 2 founders of that on my podcast, but I can't remember. I don't know if they would remember me. They might. So if any of you want to do an introduction to KidStrong, we could, I'd love to get them on board and try to get a good referral fee to the members as well. So let's continue some introduction. Who else is in here that has not introduced themselves that's new to the mastermind?
I haven't introduced myself. So hi, everyone. I'm Dave Bonamort. So I am the master franchise owner for Anago Cleaning Systems. Again, one of those boring businesses everyone talks about. But my background's in technology. I had a small software company that we exited with some business partners and got into franchising after that, and have been pretty successful with this business. So this is another one of those brands that never heard about, and wish that I had something like this to kind of vet, out different brands in the past. But there's actually quite a few territories still open that are available that are pretty decent. And I know the top performers are doing quite well in them. And we've actually had, a lot of success with it. But I'm out in Salt Lake City, Utah. So I was in Vegas last weekend for the Pac-12 championship. So I'm a big Utah Utes fan and was out there. So just a little bit ahead of you guys. But yeah, excited to be here and learn more about, each of you guys. I'm actually, one of my goals I told to Eric is I'm looking to, at potentially looking at other brands as well. So I'm looking at, what else, you guys are doing and what's working. But I'll tell you this, if you, like the service industry, this one is recurring revenue, plus you're at kind of that regional level. So there's a lot of questions I can answer for anyone. If I can add value to any of you guys, I'm happy to do so.
Thanks, Dave. Good to have you here again. He's part of of Scale, and so we have a meeting tomorrow. It's tomorrow? Yeah, it's tomorrow already. It's a wild week. When you go to Vegas and come back on get up at 4, you start to lose track of days. But yeah, so anybody that's in Salt Lake or going to Salt Lake, look Dave up and get to know him. And yeah, I think you're the first true master like that. We've got Henry Kim and Stephen Barab that have area development or area rep background, but that's different than being a master of like a janitorial type franchise. So I like it. So we'll be seeing you tomorrow as well. Who else did I miss? Who is new to the group and has not introduced themselves?
I haven't.
Go for it, Matt. Let's do it.
Hey, everybody. Nice to meet you. My name is Matt Franthaways. I'm also from Utah. I live up in Park City. So I love to ski and snowboard and snowmobile and all those winter sports that Eric likes to do out in South Dakota. But I am a franchisee with Legends Boxing. Even though I live in Utah, my location is down in Scottsdale, Arizona. I'm also an area developer for the whole state of Arizona for that brand. I was one of the co-founders, but I sold my interest in the whole franchise and just want to be an area developer and franchisee. And then I also hail from the same company Eric came from for broker, but I'm not here to offer those services. I'm here as a franchisee, and I'm just happy to be here and learn from you all. So
Matt, part of FranChoice, that same consultant network that I'm a part of. Terry's on here. Terry, you still doing brokering? Are you with IFP? Who are you with? IFPG? So what do you guys think? What do you guys think about Terry and Matt about this offering for like me bringing brands in here like that? You probably hate it because it means less commissions for you guys, but I don't see it being very many brands, just brands where they're validating really well. And I think hopefully most of them will come from outside of the broker networks. So what do you think about that possibility, that model?
Well, I'm a fan. I mean, I think more community, more knowledge, more power, more education. I'm huge on collaboration. So there's plenty of business out there for everybody.
Mm-hmm. And you guys as brokers get introduced to brands that aren't in the broker network. So this would be, so alert me of those as well. Because we can bring them in here. Matt, what do you think? It's the first time you've heard that. So what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. Especially exposure to brands outside of our inventory, which I don't know about, which I know there's great brands out there outside of it. So it just gives me a better opportunity to help people. And, there's enough for everybody out there. Yep. So I like it.
Good. Great to have you here. And last time there's some new members that introduced themselves. I see them popping in. So anybody else, who did I miss? I don't want to miss anybody. It's easy to do because I'm looking around the screen. Take yourself off mute and introduce yourself. That must be it. That must be everybody. Quick update on the Facebook group. Guys, this thing is the Franchise Secrets Facebook group. Thank you for contributing in there. I have franchisors and franchisees and people just reach out to me. Lane Fisher with Fisher Zucker. He's like, holy cow, Eric. He's like, you have the best Facebook group and the community out of anybody. So we're over 2,000 members in there. And that's a lot of active members in a group like that. So if there's ever anything that I can do that would help you in that group, just let me know. I love you guys just engaging in that group and just having discussion. Had some good podcasts this last month. One just to highlight real quick was the Buffalo Wild Wings one. I like that one because got into franchising and had a disastrous first go at it, meaning he started a second location right after his first location, put it right next to his first location. So he was losing money. And he's from Utah, Dave and Matt. So he's in Salt Lake there, but he had a disastrous losing money, lots of money, and then he pulled out of it. So I like stories like that. So that's a good listen. Also, so we talked about, I'm going to have Stacy Barnes, who's a friend of mine, that he's a coach. He's like with Focal Point Coaching. He was a trainer for Liberty Tax for many, many years. And I'm going to have him do some training for Grow and Scale. So for both groups, do some training on a consistent basis with your managers. That way you can have your managers have some leadership training, and it's not coming from you, and you don't have to organize it. You don't have to do it. You don't have to do anything but say, show up, because this guy who's really good at helping leadership, managers with their leadership get better, and you guys can plug into that. So I encourage you guys to plug into that. It's going to be new for 2022. Give you an example, the last Scale meeting that we had with David Shuck, who's private equity backed franchisee with Club Pilates, hired him to come in and work with his team. So you guys don't have to hire him. You're getting that as part of the mastermind. So David Shuck's team meets with Stacy on a consistent basis, but he's going to be in our group. And so I'd encourage you to take advantage of that. Stacy's a great resource. And then he's going to be a member too. So he's a member of Scale. So now you guys will just get to know him as well. So he's fantastic. As you know, the price is going up on everything. The price from Grow is going from $147 to $200, and that's happening January 1. So if you have anybody that you think would be a good fit for Grow, it's going from $147 to $200, or maybe like $199.99, whatever we decide to do, but about $200 January 1. So if you want people to get in, think they'd be a good fit, just do a text intro with me or an email intro. And all you have to say, hey, this is, hey, Eric, this is my friend so-and-so. They're interested in learning about the mastermind. That's all you have to do. So if you have anybody that you want to do that with, email me or text, whatever it is you want. And Caleb, can you make sure everyone has my cell phone info in there as well? Scale is going from $7,500 to $10,000 January 1. So that price will be increasing as well. So with that, we have Scale tomorrow. I've got 4 amazing speakers: Dan Fleshman, Aaron Wagner, Justin Donald, and Roland Frazier. And if you are in Grow right now, you're thinking about Scale, you want to listen to one of those, send me or Caleb a message, and we will send you a recording out tomorrow or Saturday on one of those sessions. So pick your favorite session. Roland is a freaking genius. He was in our first mastermind. He's the one that had the best reviews, and we went long and people absolutely loved him. Roland, you're paying $30,000 for a half a day of consulting with Roland. And he does that because he wants to try to get equity in your business. And so that's why he does that. He says that $30,000 isn't worth his time. It's equity in businesses. So he's just a high level guy, very strategic thinker, very helpful, and just all around amazing. So a lot of this whole session is going to be some good Q&A. So you guys can be active in that are joining that. So that's Roland. So if you want that session with Roland, let Caleb know. Or if you want Aaron Wagner, and he's a Utah guy, Dave and Matt, Aaron Wagner with Wags Capital is a Utah guy. He's invested in companies like Crumble and Everbowl that are franchises, non-franchises. And what he does is he uses other people's capital, 100%. He funds the brand or the location with 100% of somebody else's money. And then he gives them 30 to 40% equity in the brand. And that's exactly how that works. And that's how he's been able to scale so fast. So we're going to dive into that with him. And he's really big on having fun and doing it with people that he enjoys doing business with. So if you're interested in that type of thing, then get the recording for that one versus Roland. And then Justin Donald's always good. Some of you guys know Justin well. We're going to be talking more about finding business partners that are looking to be the operational partner versus the money, and how he does that. And he just exited his business that he bought about a year ago for 500, sold it for I think $1 million 1 year and 1 day after he bought it. So, and that was a mom and pop business. He's also an investor in Orange Theory. He's done Orange Theory, and he did KidStrong as well. So that'll be an interesting conversation that we will have with him, just really honing in on that. And some of you might know Justin and I also run a mastermind on investing. He's a genius with that stuff. Pick up his book, The Lifestyle Investor. If you don't have it, The Lifestyle Investor. It's just a great book. And he's got a great podcast as well. There's so much free information that you guys have access to. We all have access to. You just got to know what's legit and what's not. He's legit. Podcast is legit. You can learn so much for free just by joining his, looking at his podcast and getting his book. And then the last one is Dan Fleischman. Dan is a California guy, youngest founder of a publicly traded company. He hosts large events, big masterminds. And there's nobody better on social media than Dan Fleischman. And he's a super high level thinker, invests in all kinds of companies, and is active, somewhat active in them, meaning he wants to be able to have impact on the businesses that he invests into. So that'll be a really good conversation with him. And he's a player, guys. Like Dan, you just don't get Dan to come into a mastermind meeting and spend an hour with you. And I sent him a text and I was able to get him in, but he's a sought after keynote speaker, and he will be fantastic. So I wanted to go over that real quick in case you want to join Scale, or if you want one of those as a recording, if it's something that you're thinking about. But that will be a lot of fun. All right. I was in Justin's mastermind earlier, and he brought up something that I think is relevant to this call. He had Tom Wheelwright, who is, if you guys know who Tom is, raise your hand if you know who Tom is. Tom is basically Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki, and part of that company, the Rich Dad company. And so this guy is a very high level tax strategist. I mean, insane. But one of the takeaways one of the things that was just one of the basic things that he was talking about in that meeting, I wanted to share here because it's one of the things that I'm doing. And I realized even in Justin's high level mastermind, where people are paying $50K a year to be a part of it, some of the people weren't taking advantage of this tax strategy. And we don't have many days left to take advantage of certain things. And this is one of them that you can. So I just want to share it real quick, and we can talk about it a little bit more if you want. But pay your kids. Get your kids on payroll. And I just did it for the first time this year because I should have been doing it all along, but I'm like, if I didn't do it until now, I'm sure there are other people that are not doing it that probably should be doing it. And Justin first got his daughter on when she was 6, I believe. Mine is 7, and I've got 3 daughters. And I sent my CPA a message earlier to find out how much money. I think we're putting in $6,000 of payroll with my youngest, who's 7. My 8-year-old's making $12,000 this year. This is net take home. And my oldest is making $14,000. So, just call it $30,000 that I'm not paying taxes on. Gonna roll, each of those will roll $6,000 into a Roth IRA for them. And then the rest will invest in different things. But if you guys don't have your kids on payroll, talk to your CPA and say, don't ask, can I? Say, how do I? And say, I want to maximize, you don't have to put them on payroll for the last 2 weeks or 3 weeks of the year. You can put them on payroll going back to the beginning of the year. And as long as they were doing things. And so there's just certain things that you need to follow and do for that. Like what did they do in your business? One of the things, they can be on your website or on your social media videos. You guys see my girls come into the videos every now and then. It's, there's a reason for that. They're amazing models. That's why they're on there. That can also, to be an amazing model, you get paid a lot of money. So they do things like that. They can do paper shredding. mailbox sorting, they can do cleaning, they can do all kinds of things, but this is a way to eliminate taxes. So, you know, if they just think about your kid. The easiest way is like a model, where they're on your website, on social media. That's one way to do it. It's smart to document this stuff. And if I have a document, I'll let you know what I do. Max pay, I don't know. There's not really a max. Well, $12,000 is the max from a no tax standpoint. So you can pay them up to $12,000 and it's not going to be taxable. Over that, it becomes taxable. And that's why, but it's still lower than most of our tax rate. And Luke says, are they W-2? And guys, if I'm saying anything in here and there's somebody that's smarter, I know there's people smarter than me in here with this, chime in, please. This is not Eric being the expert tax strategist. This is just telling you what I'm doing. So no, I am not a CPA. I should probably clarify, Caleb, we should always have some type of like, don't take any financial advice from Eric ever. He's the dumbest guy financially. So you can never sue him because he said he's really bad at this stuff. But $12,000 is my understanding of zero tax implications. And then after that, you go into the lowest tax bracket possible. And so that's why they're starting to go into that. And I'll pay them more than the $12,000 eventually, but also you don't want to flag it to like, what's your 5-year-old doing that's worth $30,000? You know, like what could they possibly be doing that's worth $30,000? So that's where I just told my CPA, do the max that you think we should be doing. And so it came up to, I think 8, 12, and 14. So anybody else have any other thoughts on that? So I am a multi-member LLC. It's my wife and myself. And I'm just trying to, I just see the chat coming in, so I'm sure I've missed some. So I'm a multi-member. It might be 12.5. Someone smarter than me said 12.5, right around 12,000.
Yeah,
I'm a
Eric,
multi-member LLC. I don't think that matters. Go ahead, Todd.
Yeah, we were on the call too, and this is something that we've really been trying to delve into this year is with our grandchildren, which we have the twin boys that are 7 and their granddaughter's 5. And with the pet resort, we can definitely put them, document work for them anyway at the pet resort. And Yoel, it is 12,000 that, I was taking some pretty good notes on this, that they can do, non-taxable income. And then after that, they fall into the 10% tax bracket. And like Eric was saying, what was recommended was to put the money into a Roth IRA for them. Up to, I think it is the 6,000 like Eric was talking about. One of the things I was trying to get from Justin, which we didn't really get to delve into, was what out of the Roth IRA you would be investing in, which Eric can kind of chime in maybe a little bit here, because with those Roth IRAs, you don't necessarily have to just invest in the stock market. A Roth IRA enables you to invest in other things like real estate and some other investment mechanisms and investment opportunities out there, just depending, of course, with what Congress does with Roth IRAs over the next year to 2 years, which hopefully is not anything. Hopefully they leave Roth IRAs alone. So there are a lot of great opportunities out there besides the stock market, mutual funds, and ETFs to use a Roth IRA for. But yeah, this was definitely something that we really picked up on today through having Tom Wilwright come and visit with Justin's group.
Yep. It was, and I know I was just, I'm in the middle of doing this. I did it earlier this year. And so I'm like, you know what, if there was this much interest when Tom Wilwright was talking about this with that group, there's got to be interest in this group. So what I would suggest, just like any of these investments, if you're not doing passive cash flow investment, get into some type of apartment syndication at a low amount and just get started in some of this stuff. And it doesn't have to be this year, but maybe next year, just get educated on some of the stuff. And that's why I brought in MD to do an apartment syndication masterclass for everybody. That way it's just open for everybody to get educated on it. So just educate yourself and have a goal of 2022 of investing a little bit of money in into something that's passive cash flowing. And then you just start to do more and more of it. And then all of a sudden, it just really starts to add up. Same thing with this tax savings, tax avoidance, tax loopholes, whatever. With your kids, just get it started and then just take it to the next level. Maybe it's $1,000 this year. And now you know what it feels like and what you can do next year. And then you just start to level up on all of this as you're making more money, or you're just more comfortable doing different things. But I just encourage some of you just to get started and to see what it, with all of this stuff, just get started, because there's so many people that, and I'm preaching to the choir, guys, because this was me last year. And so that's why I know it's some of us in the group this year. And it's not too late to do it. So email your CPA, say, hey, I want to put my kid or kids on payroll for this year. What do I need to do to make that happen? And that's what I did. Yeah.
Eric, I've got a couple things I'll just add to that. One is, I think that if you're not using a bookkeeper, that makes all of these things much, much easier. I have a bookkeeper and a CPA, and every year in October, she does a tax analysis for me. So she suggests a lot of these types of things. So if you're not doing some of those basic things, I think I pay her around $350 a month. And then I pay her, I think, $450 to do this tax strategies. And so she suggested that. Obviously, your kid has to be old enough, and you got to document it. So if you get audited, you can show and verify some things. So, having the right person on your team is going to help you. And then secondly, the Augusta rules, the other one that I wasn't doing that she gave me, that is another good one if you don't know about, where basically you should be holding company meetings every month to go over your meeting minutes and just those types of things. And you can actually go out and basically look at what it would cost to rent a room at a hotel, for example, and get food and whatnot. And you can
very nice hotel, the nicest hotel around you, which for me, it's like the best restaurant, but for you, it's something different.
Yeah, but you can pay yourself that. So that's another easy one too, that you can start doing. And that's $1,200 a month for someone pretty standard right then and there. So, but I would say the one thing that maybe was the biggest change, I think, for me and for probably most people, is just getting a CPA in your corner, a bookkeeper. If you have someone that is helping you with those things, and they're not difficult to find, that they'll help you with a lot of the stuff to actually make it happen.
Exactly, guys. Check out, just when that same email to your CPA to say, I also want to utilize the Augusta rule for my home this year. Please make that happen. And they might look at you they'll probably go research it, because a lot of CPAs don't know this. A lot of CPAs don't know about the Augusta rule, but it will absolutely save you money this year. And all of you, if you own a home, you can do that. And and then for some reason, just post it in the Facebook group, guys. If you're like, hey, my CPA is saying we can't do it for whatever reason, just post that in the Facebook group and tag me and Caleb in it. That way we can get you some resources to educate your CPA, and then fire your CPA next year and get a new CPA.
Eric, can I touch one piece on that IRA?
Please do.
So our son runs his own business, and he's been fully funding his college fund for the last 3 years. And then last year, between his financial advisor and his CPA, they sat down and decided that he should fully fund his IRA as well. If you're doing that with your kids, remember that those first 5 years of your IRA, you can pull that initial investment without any penalties once they turn 18. So whether they're saving for college or doing something else, that money can come straight back to them for whatever they want. So those first 5 years with your kid, try and max that for them. Don't do a small investment if you can.
I'll add one other thing to that too. They're called 72T. And what you can do is you can pull it out for a first-time home purchase. So if you think about a teenager that wants to save it through college, you can then take advantage and use that for a down payment on a first-time home purchase.
Love it. Love it. This is good stuff. Anybody else? Crickets. Was it last month? Okay, we're gonna move away from tax stuff unless my CPA may be joining us. So if he does join us, we will jump back into it.
Eric,
I don't think he's joining.
sorry.
Go
Can
ahead.
I interrupt for a hot second? I just wanted to thank you for the introduction to MD. I happened to be out in Phoenix last week and he was filming at one of his properties. So I met him out there. He's like, this is super secret. No one's even seen this yet. I was honored.
Then
So
he
I'm
took
really excited about it.
You guys took a selfie and sent it to me too.
Oh, yeah, I'm excited about it.
If you guys don't know, and Caleb, please pull that PDF down that Dave sent, put in the chat, and we'll send that out to everybody as well. If you guys need, you hear anything that we're talking about, you're like, hey, where's that? How can I find that? Just ask that question in the chat and we'll get that to you. And then, like I said, if there's anything in here that you want from to watch, look at that scale meeting that we record, let us know which one. You can do it in the chat, email us, or whatever is the best way to for you to get that to us. Let me know. Also, Ryan Casey, we all know and love Ryan Casey, and he's going to be continuing to do some stuff for sales manager and owner training for everybody. And I don't know if that's only going to be for scale or if it's going to be for grow and scale. There'll be some element for grow as well. But Ryan will continue to be active. And so if you don't know who Ryan is, you want, he's just so great at kind of looking at your sales process and helping your management team make more money, really, at the end of the day. That's what it comes down to. So Ryan is amazing. So if you need anything from him, let me know. But I just really today, I knew we had some new members. I wanted to get some introductions, and I just wanted to spend some time seeing if anybody has anything that they want all of our minds on, or there's a subject that you want me to talk about. Because there's, I can some of these, well, let me say this. Next year, we are going to have a masterclass for an hour, and then we will go into a mastermind session. So 1 hour masterclass, 1 hour mastermind. And I like leaving things open so we can have some group discussion. Because a lot of times what someone's dealing with, somebody else needs help with. So I wanted to do some of that today, just seeing if anybody has some things that they want me to talk about, or they want some help with the group in. And I've got some questions for some of you guys if you don't have questions. Like I'm looking at Joe, and I know he just started Kid Strong. I want to see how that's going and some of the things that he's learned, going from one brand to a new brand, and he's having success with it. So that would be my question for Joe. But before Joe takes off his microphone, and he was just a guy in the dark. I don't know what he was doing, but he was like hustling in the streets or something. But does anybody have any questions that you just would like some answers to, or like some thoughts on? Just raise your hand, or if there's not many, then just, unmute yourself and ask away.
Hey, Eric, just scheduling wise between you and Justin, I know both of you are looking at going to Thursdays now. How is that going to work out? Have y'all communicated together?
I told him, back off, buddy. You're going to Saturdays. and
Okay.
Yeah, so he backed off. And no, we are coordinating our schedules a lot because we have mastermind together. We have masterminds with the same people in them. So yeah, we're scheduling a lot. Caleb, can you give some a little bit on the schedule for next year?
Yeah, so right now we sent out a poll to you guys, and most people, the best day was Tuesday from 11 to 1 Mountain Standard Time. So like Eric said, we'll do a master class from 11 to 12 p.m. and then we'll follow that up with an actual mastermind session. And then for scale members, we will do some additional master classes and trainings on Thursdays, and that should avoid anything that has to do with Justin's mastermind. So that's kind of
those are golf days, Tuesday and Thursday. So can we go Wednesday, Friday?
I heard you say those were golf days, and so I appreciate you
Yeah.
changing your golf days around.
Yeah. I'm gonna see what I can do about that. Yeah.
We-
Thanks a lot. So Mac, I know y'all don't have golf courses there. So
That's our sledding. That's our sledding days. And ice fishing.
okay. All right. Yeah, no, I just was a bit concerned about that with Justin classes usually being on Thursday. So
Yeah, it's a lot.
Okay.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
So
Right.
yeah, we changed those to Tuesdays, and we're gonna have the whole and probably first part of next. I don't know when we're sending it out, but very soon, like all of the dates for that. And then we
Yeah.
will continue to do random master classes for Grow as well. But I wanted to have a consistent master class and mastermind session back to back for everyone. And that way, if you could just attend one or the other, you're fine with it. So you attend one, and then because on the hour we'll go from master class to mastermind session, and I'm sure we'll be talking about what was on the master class, but that way you can be like, oh, I want to attend this one for an hour, and you can pre-schedule it. When we took a poll for the whole group, and it was 2-1. Everybody wanted that particular time, and we know, from our perspective, we're like, holy cow, we're not going to be able to please everybody, because some people just have golf days, and some of us don't. So we needed to. So we thought, well, we'll just take a poll, because we don't know, and that was the most popular option by far.
Oh,
But we will hold some master classes in the afternoon on some different days. That way it hits another, segment of the group that may not consistently be able to attend the other ones. And also say, like with all of these masterminds, a lot of times, you don't need to show up for everyone all the time. That's why we put out the recordings and get in the Facebook group. And because a lot of the masterminds I'm a part of, I'll be on about 30% of the calls. And then I'm always catch the recording. So don't feel like, oh my gosh, I'm not on the live one, I need to be. So, but hopefully just having all the dates pre-scheduled, masterclass back, and right after that, the mastermind will be helpful for everyone. And then with Scale, we're also moving that to Thursdays versus Fridays, the big Scale meetings. We're moving that to Thursdays versus Fridays, and that will not be on the same Thursday as Justin's. So,
okay. Thanks.
Yeah. And then we all need to get together at some point again too. We had the Sodak Shindig, and that was so much fun. It was so much fun going out to Vegas and seeing people. I love that stuff. So we are going to plan another Shindig event somewhere. It won't be in Sodak this year, because if you come here all the time, it's gonna get really boring. Or you might move here and then people might get mad that everyone's moving to Spearfish, South Dakota. So we can't have that. So we'll go someplace else this next year. I don't know where it will be. Scale members will be free. Grow members, there'll be some type of smaller tuition to be able to participate. But I want the goal is to have all of us there and to have some fun. So Heather says Southeast. Heather's organizing it. So Heather, let's do the Southeast. I appreciate the Tomasellos so much. So done. All right. Susie, your hands up with a little cute little baby.
Yeah, that is my kiddo. I need to update that photo because she's 2 now, pretty much. Yeah, so
old enough to be on payroll for sure.
Oh, see, that's good. I did not know that. I didn't know what the age limit was on that, so that's good to know.
I know some people are pretty young. Check with your CPA. I'm the worst financial advice giver ever, so just keep that in mind.
Okay, sounds good. Well, I'm right now at the airport, actually heading to Salt Lake. Not really excited about the snow, but I got a quick meeting up there. But I did want to ask, me and my husband are new to franchising, and I see that there's obviously from the Facebook group, I see that there's a lot of conferences that I'm not familiar with, that I would have loved to be able to network more and kind of get to meet people face to face. So if you ever have, like, in the future, good conferences that would be good to go, anything like that, I would love to know so I can try to book it. So one of us can go and definitely just meet people, network, and yeah, because again, when you're new to it, I don't know of any good conferences because we've done real estate and franchising is new. We're with Crumble now, and we're looking to open right now more stores, but we definitely want to educate and know more than we know right now.
That's a great idea. Caleb, I'm sure you took notes on that. There are some that are good and some that are not so good. And what I'll also do, Caleb, let's just start having my schedule in the group as well. That way people know where I'm going to be and we can at least just meet up. And if I'm there for a longer period of time, we can just do, like a meetup and spend an afternoon together or something like that. If there's going to be, like a mini meetup. So I like that. I know I'm going to be in California at the IFA. So speaking of that, the IFA, International Franchise Association, mostly for franchisors, like much more for franchisors. I'm on a panel there for the first time. So, but I'll be going out to the IFA, and it's really inexpensive for franchisees to join, but I don't know how valuable it's going to be for franchisees. I'm going because I'm on a panel, and I'm going because I'm starting a mastermind for franchisors that's launching in January. So that's my reason for going. So, but that might be one to look at, Susie, the IFA in San Diego. And actually, I think it is January. I can't remember, January, February. Here's a business write-off. I'm going to Mexico for 2 weeks with the kids and bringing the grandparents with us. We're going to outside of Punta Mita, outside of Puerto Vallarta, at a nice Airbnb that has a nice infinity pool that overlooks the ocean. So we'll get the surfing village feel. And then we're going to a nice resort that has, I think it's the largest water park or water pool. It made a lot of sense. Largest pool in the world. And so that's gonna be fun. So maybe that is a future meetup in Mexico next year. That's maybe we should be doing that. But I like that conference idea. Anybody have any conferences that they know of as a franchisee that are helpful? Anybody have any of those?
Mike? Eric?
Yes.
Eric, this is Michael Solomon.
Oh, what's up, buddy? Good to see you.
Hey,
or see your name at least. I saw you in person in Vegas, but go ahead.
So there's a multi-unit franchise conference that's put on by Multi-Unit Franchise Media. I think the website is mufc.com. It's in Vegas every year. It's in the spring, and they have panels. They have keynote speakers. I mean, I've been going for about 8 years, and if you call them and tell them you're a franchisee, usually they invite you to get in for free. That's how I've always gone. They do charge like $700-800, but I've never paid, so I don't know exactly. I know that if you skip a year, they try to take your free thing away. But that's a great one. They have panels on how to scale from 5 to 10 locations, 10 to 20. There's guys there that have, 12 different brands. I mean, it's a really interesting conference. And they also, they have a publication called Multi-Unit Franchisee. And so that's one that I always go to.
That is great, Michael. That's the one that came to mind as I was thinking. I couldn't remember what it's called. And Henry said it's a great conference. I might look at going to that. Maybe we can have a meetup there in Vegas. But I think that's probably the best one. I'm just looking at their speakers right now. Jesse Itzler. We don't know Jesse. He's friends with a lot of my friends, and he's just a good keynote speaker. Sarah Blakely's husband, Emmett Smith. I heard him speak on franchising this year. Really, really good. Jim Sullivan. I know Jim Sullivan. I don't know the other one. But I think you're right. And then just to finish up on that, fantastic magazine, probably the best magazine in franchising. So subscribe to that magazine. I believe it's the magazine, the Multi-Unit Franchise. It used to be called something else, but a great magazine as well. Is that the magazine too?
Yeah, the name is, it's Multi-Unit Franchisee is the name of the magazine.
Multi-unit franchisee. Yep. That's the one that I always keep. I don't like Entrepreneur magazine on franchising stuff. It says garbage, in my humble opinion, without anybody, from Entrepreneur, hopefully is not on here. So that's a great one. Maybe we will go to that, Caleb. It's, March 29th through the 1st, and maybe we'll do some type of meetup out there too, or go to Moab and go mountain biking. So there's all kinds of things that we can do. All right. Susie, did you get your question answered? Do you want to take your hand down, or do you still have a follow-up for that?
Oh, I didn't even know I had the hand up. Let me remove that. I wish you had to remove it, actually.
That's all right. You don't need to remove it.
Oh, there we go. Got it.
Nice work. Nice work. Matt, another one, again, you guys out there in Salt Lake, get to know Susie with Crumble. She's crushing it. And I'm super excited to learn more. Before you go, Linda, George, I saw your name. Where are you? Or did you bounce?
I'm right here.
Oh, there you are. Introduce yourself. We introduced some of the new members. So George is brand new to the Scale Mastermind, so he's going to be joining us tomorrow. But introduce yourself.
Hi, name is George Almaguer. I'm a new franchisee owner. Well, I haven't really opened it yet, but just getting involved in becoming a franchisee. Kind of want to learn from you guys. First time I joined the mastermind, talked to Eric. Didn't take any convincing to do. I kind of felt like this is the right group for me. And I think that's it for now.
So you are ready to, you're going big with a taco company out in California, and you're like in lease negotiation type stuff. You're getting a lease and you're about ready to have an attorney review it. And guys, any of you that are involved with leases and whatnot, take advantage of this group. Post a question in. I learn new things every time I sign a new lease. And I just saved one of the members in here from losing a lease, and because they were doing something really bad, and I gave them some insight into changing some things, and it saved them a bunch of money. So what's the brand that you're with, George?
Okay, so it's called Roll 'em Up Taquitos. They're those little roll 'em up taquitos. It's a new concept that we've seen out here in California. The original one has been out in business, if I believe, about maybe 2.5 years. My store would probably be the 4th one.
So hungry to be a part of in the right room and to avoid mistakes. So welcome. All right, Linda, you've been patiently waiting, holding your hand up this whole time.
No, my hand is so sore and tired. My arm. I think Todd had asked about the Justin Mastermind, but that's the old one that's been in existence, right? What about the new one? When is that going to be?
So Justin and I started a new mastermind, and I'll just be real quick on this. So Justin and I started. We were in Puerto Rico together, and I said, why don't we start a lower ticket mastermind, one that doesn't cost $50,000? Because there's a lot of people that want to invest in things and want to learn strategy and ways to save a bunch of money and invest into passive cash flowing investments that aren't ready to put out $50,000 a year to join. There's a lot of people that aren't ready to put out $50,000 a year to join that mastermind. And so that's where it was born. And we just had our second monthly meeting this week. It was yesterday. I flew back and I got home in 5 minutes late, and we started the second mastermind. So that mastermind is all about passive cash flow investing. We will have deals in there for people. A lot of the deals will come from Justin's main mastermind. That's the 50K mastermind. There are going to be not all of the deals. Justin's not going to be doing as much as he does for his $50,000 mastermind, but a lot of deals. And I think it's going to be meet people where they are with that are ready to spend $20,000. The price is $20,000 a year to join that mastermind. So we'll have some of the same speakers. You'll have me, you have Justin. We'll have special speakers in there to share things, and then we'll have deal flow, and we'll have things to trainings and whatnot to vet out different deals, like learn how to vet different deals and what to look for. So that's the $20,000 a year mastermind. To know if you're a good fit. And by the way, Linda was absolutely not a plant. Just to be clear, this was a genuine question she had. I'm thinking like, man, if I ever wanted to plant somebody, I just need to ask Linda, because she, came across real authentic like she was. So if you're a good fit, I would say you have $20,000 that you ready to invest, and then you have $75,000 that of investable cash that you want to deploy in 2022, then it makes a lot of sense. Or if you have more than that, then it makes a lot of sense. If you have a lot more than that, then Justin's other mastermind makes a lot of sense, because he's had 30 plus deals that he brought to the members. And some of them are $250,000 plus minimums to get into some of those deals. So that's why we're not going to get all of the deals. And we'll probably have some deals that are just for our mastermind, because we'll want to bring in some that are like $25,000 minimums versus other minimums. Joe, did you have a question on that?
Yeah, I was going to ask, why do you think $75,000 is the right amount to invest, to have available for that mastermind? Is it deal size or return on what you think you should get for your investment?
So, and it's interesting, like with the mastermind, like most masterminds, people are investing to get information. People that are going into an investing mastermind they have an ROI on the money that they invest to pay for the mastermind. And so, so that's why, we're thinking if someone, they're just probably in the right spot to invest. They have enough capital, and we want to make sure that if there is a deal that they can move on it. Not that you don't have to invest anything. As a matter of fact, on Justin's mastermind today, there's a member that had been in it for, I can't remember how long, Todd or Henry probably know, but they had been in it for a period of time, 6 months, I'll say, I don't know, give or take. And he said, I haven't invested in anything. All I've been doing is getting my structure in place to invest the right way. And he said this, it's already saved me over $1 million just by doing that. So that's why he hasn't invested anything. And there's been plenty of deals to invest in, but he's structuring it the right way. And on our last mastermind, we talked about how to structure, how do you start to structure basically your investing platform, whole life policies or different things like that. So we're starting to talk about some of those things. So that's the reason. It doesn't matter. Like, you're not investing in us for that 75,000 or anything else. You are just having access to deals to be able to invest in. And let's say it's a 50,000 minimum and you're like, I just want to put 25K into that. Then you just go with some of your other buddies and just form an LLC and put in 50 or 100 into a deal. And I've done that. And that's what I did with Pier 1. That's how, really got to know Todd. He sent me a bunch of money and didn't really know if I would return it or not. And so there's no hard and fast rule with the amount of money, but that's just kind of what we're seeing. So
what day of the week is that going to be?
That's Caleb. Caleb's our master Zoom organizer.
Okay.
I think that's going to be on.
That'll be on Wednesdays.
Yep.
Every once a week or once a month?
No, once a month. Once a month.
Got it.
Yeah. We'll probably have some random stuff, but that's a 2-hour call once a month. And we had one deal that we put out there. Just that was a 13% interest with warrants, 13% interest, you're paid monthly. So if you put in 100 grand, you're getting about $1,000 a month. And then there's warrants on that. So you'll have equity, access to equity in the business. Once that 3 years is up, you get your capital back, and you will have warrants, equity in that business. And I'm not using all the correct terminology, but I'm just trying to paint a picture for everyone what it's like. And then we have another deal that we teased this year or this month, and we'll have details out on that next month. So there'll be a good amount of deal flow that comes in there. So, all right, and Neil, you've been patient too.
Thanks, Eric. So this might be a bit of a rookie question here. I know we were speaking about lease negotiation a little bit earlier. I'm in the LOI phase right now. When is the perfect time to hire a leasing agent or a leasing attorney?
Okay, so you start out with an agent, and agents can be good or bad. Most of them are bad, and you have to push them to be good. Don't have them do too many things too soon in that, agree to things in that LOI. So agents like to get things done in that LOI, that to be able to get that signed, because then that's really the next phase for them. So they might, and that LOI, they always refer back to that LOI. They're like, no, we've already said this, so we're not changing it. So make sure you have a good leasing agent, and some of the best things to do, if you are at a standstill with the landlord, just say to be discussed further in the lease. So personal guarantee, they're saying they're saying we want it for 5 years. You're saying I don't want anything. And your leasing guy will say, well, everybody does it for 5 years, so don't worry about it. You know, that if there's something like that, just in that section, the LOI, to say to be discussed further in the lease. So you're not locking yourself into something. And Kayla, we might want to do another masterclass on this type of thing. That way we can just refer this to members. So that's just super generic advice. So then you get the LOI, you sign the LOI, which means that's the document that you're working from with the landlord. You both agreed. That's the starting point. And then you get an attorney once that LOI is signed, and the attorney will charge, just depends on what they charge, a couple grand to a lot more. And it depends how much you go back and forth. Attorneys can make some things to look at. An attorney that can make or break it for you is how aggressive or they are with the landlord. I've had attorneys that didn't have a really good bedside manner, and they were very aggressive, and they made the landlord mad. Then I've had other attorneys that it's like, what tone do you want me to take on this, Eric? How do you want me to approach them? Do you want me to go in really hard after them, or do we want to just have a group call to hammer things out to get a deal done? So, if any of you have any attorneys that you would recommend, go ahead and put them in the chat, or and then we have one, Caleb, that we can send to you and Neil. That his name's Eric. He's out of New York. He's done a ton of them, and he's pretty good, and he's very, very reasonable. So we'll get you his information too. Another thing to note, like, you don't need to have a local California attorney to review that particular lease. They might have some stuff with certain laws that they'll say, I don't know about this, but you don't need to have an attorney that lives in your state to be able to negotiate that lease. And it is a negotiation. And man, that's where your attorney will be a fiduciary with you. Your leasing agent, they want to get a deal done. Anybody else have advice on this?
Neil, part of your question was when do you need a lawyer? You don't need a lawyer at the LOI stage, which is, I think, the big part of Eric's point. You need it when you get to the lease. One thing, and I'm sure everybody here has dealt with a bunch of leases, but if you have the time, I review the lease before my lawyer does, and I mark up the sections I need their advice on. Otherwise, they read through the whole damn thing and they charge you by the hour. And the other part is, you're going to find all these lawyers will want to give you a lot of great business advice. Don't take any business advice from your lawyers. They give you legal advice.
I'd also add, I would make sure you read the entire lease multiple times, Anil. I've had a scenario where I had things changed in the middle of the conversation that weren't brought up. It changed in the lease from day 30 to day 60 by the time we were negotiating. So make sure you're consistently staying on top of it, even if you feel things have been agreed upon.
Thank you guys for the insight. I appreciate it.
I would also add Ms. Lee in DC. I think, can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I would say kind of have some language in your lease regarding a permit expediter. I'm not sure how permits go in other places, but in places like DC, permits can take a while.
That is such a DC problem.
Yeah, so that can affect your commencement date. And so I would, kind of real be strict, or at least have as much dialogue around it, getting as much time if you don't get your permits, because that can affect obviously your time in which you open your business.
That could be a California thing too, depending on your contractor and things like that. So that's that's a good point. some of the things that are, you know, what are some of the things, guys, that you see out there that are just important parts of the lease for him to read as he's reading the lease, and he sees this big Bible in front of him, and he's like, what are the books or the chapters that he should be focused on? Personal guarantee is one, but anything else that you would say here are some really important ones?
What's the business again, Neil?
It's a Perspire sauna studio. So we offer infrared light, red light, and chromotherapy. So pretty much a 15 to 1600 square foot studio with, 10 rooms, kind of an individualized experience. Complementary to fitness facilities, studio, other boutique fitness studios.
You getting any TI or rent abatement?
Yeah, there's some good TI that we've seen so far, and yeah, there's been some abatement as well, like months 1 through 4.
That's pretty standard. Months 1 through 4 is pretty standard.
Post open or post signing the lease?
Post open.
Yeah,
it's another important bit. Like, it's all these little nuances stuff. So report back to us. You're not going to get anything signed or anything done between the now and the next call. So actually, I hope you don't.
How about exclusivities? Because that one kind of crosses over the health and wellness, and we've had trouble before with exclusivities within centers being too broad or eliminating some of the services you may want to offer, especially if you have a variety of them.
Yeah, try to get a broad exclusivity on stuff. And Joe, get ready. We want to hear from, like, I get in public messages and private messages, and Caleb's blowing up my phone saying, Eric, people want to hear from Joe. So get ready. But Anil, let's get we'll get a masterclass going on LOI and leases if we don't already have one, Caleb. And I think that would be good. So
can I ask a
good question
about an LOI leases right now? If it needs to go to a class, we can divert it. But I just got an LOI signed with a landlord, and we went to lease, and the landlord realizes in the LOI that they made a mistake, because I have a government shutdown clause that I've been requesting from all my landlords now that I get involved with. They didn't realize that I had asked for rent to be abated if we're shut down. And it's not a pandemic shutdown clause, it's a government shutdown clause. I think it's not going to be because of diseases, because all the different government agencies have now figured out they have this power to be able to run the world, right? And now they're backtracking on that drastically, big time. How would you guys handle that? Would you just, I mean, obviously everything's always a negotiation, but being that an LOI is not binding and the way they want to do it now is really not in our favor.
I'd be asking the attorney or the leasing agent, like, who has been getting this done? Like, what owners have been signing this, and why have they been signing that? That's probably where I would go, because if nobody's signing that, then it's unlikely you're going to get it done. But if well,
I've got 2 leases which I've got good language in there for both sides, I think, and this one is just even worse. It's not even worse. It's just ups the risk for us. So that's why I don't like it, and it's just against the LOI at that point.
Dude, I hate signing like leases these days. Like I'm going into a service-based business guy. I've turned into service-based, no leases. Heather Tomasello, like, you hate leases too, I'm sure, with all those salon suites that you have. Like, I am not a big fan of leases, but yeah.
Joe, how badly do you want the site?
Well, I'm always willing to walk away from anything, but I think it's a good site, and I think we have good terms from the rest of the business thing. But one of my things is watching. I was fortunate to get out just at the right time, right? I got out of Orange Theory in December, and watching everybody in every single business for the last 1.5 years basically work as a charity on behalf of their landlords, and then the landlords coming after everybody and, oh, well, we'll abate your rent, but you're going to pay it back later. and everybody's opening up with a smaller business and paying higher rent. I'm like, I'm not going to be in that position. It's not right. So my clauses are, we get shut down, I'm not making money, I don't pay you. I mean, I think that's fair. And I think the real fair solution is I'll pay the additional rent, I'll pay the nets, pay some of the expenses.
Yep.
But you waive the rent and we meet in the middle like that. But
that's a fair deal, because that's what we did at, I own a commercial building. That's what we did with our tenants. So that's a fair deal.
And this landlord, they agreed to that in the LOI, and then they came back like, well, we didn't realize this, but what we want you to do is we want you to pay back half of the abated rent post when you reopen. And I'm just like, I don't like that personally, because I've watched everybody struggle. I mean, why am I going to open up with a weakened business and increased expenses?
Yeah.
I don't want to be in that situation.
Joe, just what about adding it to the end? Do you know the term just goes longer, adding it to a term versus?
That's what we originally offer as well, is we just extend the term.
Yeah.
So I've just got to open it up. But my real question here is, I've never had anyone go completely against the LOI they signed like this. It's like screwed up.
I haven't either. And I also say this, I've never regretted walking away even with $10,000-$20,000 of attorney fees, walking away from a lease. I've never regretted that.
I don't think what you're asking for is unreasonable, Joe. If you're just asking to abate the rent and tack it onto the term at the end. I mean, term is so valuable to the landlords. So they're really not at a big loss.
Financial landlords, right? Those are the ones that really care.
They care about the term, because that then they can lower the cap rate and increase the value of their investment. So.
Here's another thing. And then Joe, you cannot be asking more selfish questions yourself. You have to give, okay? You have to give next time. But here's something that a lot of people don't think about is the caps on triple nets. And it's all about the way that it's worded. So caps on triple nets, when stuff gets sold, you have a center that's just an okay center. It gets or it's a nice center that you're going into and they just refurbish the center. They're going to sell that thing, and new taxes happen. They get and now you're paying a lot more money. Heather, do you have any experience in that? Have you seen that in yours?
No, I mean, with our business model, the great challenge is that we put so much into our build out. We do salon suites, different brand than Eric's been involved in, but same concept. We put $1 million in the build out. So it is not a business that we could just pick up and move, or that we can, I mean, the landlord really has us by the balls when it comes to renewals and re-upping. So we tend to sign very long-term leases with options, and set things in stone, and recognizing, I think in any business model, that location is so key. So like you said, Eric, if you're not comfortable, even if you're not doing an extensive build out, it is very hard to pick up and move. So you want to make sure that location is A+ for your model. It doesn't have to be an A+ center, but A+ for what you are looking for. Good parking, good visibility. Those are the things that we have to think about. But for us, because we put so much into that building, we really have to negotiate thinking 20 years down the road. Whereas, 1,000 square foot, 6 rooms, it's a totally different animal, right? I mean, you could pick up and move after 4 or 5 years if you needed to, you'd lose some business, but you're not out $1 million build out investment, if that makes sense.
Yep. All right, Joe. Thanks, Heather. Joe, KidStrong, give us an update. Everybody's been asking.
I guess, what do you guys want to know? We opened our first center October 2nd, so we're 2.5 months in now. We did pretty well with our launch on this unit. We opened with 500 members. Unlike my experience with Orange Theory, though, we've been flat to negative for our first 2 months because it was a bit of a challenge for us to keep, because you run a thinner model than you do with, because you don't have a real sales team like you do at Orange Theory. And we didn't have our foot on the gas and we did this consciously. We didn't have our foot on the gas for sales and in new member acquisition. So we've opened with 510 members. We bottomed out yesterday at 456, I think was that should be our bottom. So we've lost about 50 of our original members, 60 of our original members, but we've also signed up since we've opened 40 members. So, and that's with basically almost no marketing. We spent $700 in 2 months on marketing. We've cut that down. The interesting thing is, this is my second foray into franchising with a little different model. And I'm much earlier in this brand than I was with Orange Theory. And this brand, they're doing a pretty good job training, but their training is a little more incomplete because it's interesting when you talk to all the other area developers, all the other owners, the first 2 months are really hectic. And I think that's partly because it's in a family business. We actually have 2 customers. Well, you think you have the kid's your member, you think the kid's your customer. And it took me a couple weeks to figure out the kid's not our customer, the kid's the product. The parent's the customer. And you got to work through the kids and getting your coaches to realize that they have to continue to deliver a great product, which we all know, right? You got to provide that Disney experience, but you don't just provide that Disney experience to the kids. You got to make sure that the parents witness it, see it, and know that you're doing it. Because if they don't, if they think their child is getting ignored, I mean, I can't tell you how many people have complained that, you guys have your favorites and my child didn't get any touch points. I was like, dude, high five your child 10 times during class. And then they want to cancel because of that. I'm like, you got to connect with the parents. You got to connect with the parents. That's the real member. Challenges, staffing. I think we're all facing that. Customer service, that just making sure we're doing well, training, getting people bought in, building that new culture with a new concept. Those are the challenges, but the upside is I'm fortunate in a business that helps people, that makes lives better. That's my 2-minute spiel. Eric, is what questions or what else?
Other owners, are they experiencing the same thing? Like I would say that's success. 500 members is amazing. There's attrition, no marketing. What's your sense of the overall brand right now?
Solid. I had some criteria, and we talked about this, about what I'm looking for in a franchise, and they met all but one of the criteria, which is just my technical view of what I want for a successful business, a successful franchise. Sorry, because there's differences between successful businesses, which are terrible franchises, and there are good franchises, which are bad businesses. And there's a separation there in my mind. But the brand, their programming is good. Their coaching is quite good. Their development, their training. I think they're missing the boat a little bit on what they want as far as brand consistency, because there's no interaction with members from location to location. So they're overly strict on that, and they're missing the point of that in some places. But they're really trying to be strong on that to make sure everyone is very consistent in delivering a great experience. But they're also restricting a couple things on that. I think they're on the right trajectory, but they've got to staff up. They've sold so many licenses that's the risk, is that they've oversold and they're going to expand too fast.
Joe, where's your locations?
I'm just outside of Boston, and it's called Natick, Massachusetts. I'm 15 miles south west of the city. My second location is under construction. That is about 22 miles west of the city in a town called Westboro. And we're negotiating a third lease. So those 2 locations are 20 minutes apart. Mm-hmm. And we're negotiating a third lease, which is the one I just mentioned, where the landlord decided to bait and switch me. But I think they just screwed up, actually. They're not bait and switching, unfortunately. And that is going to be 8 miles north of my first location.
And what do you think the total project cost is for a unit?
Kidstrong?
Mm-hmm.
Depends on your TI and rent abatement, or not rent, TI and build what shape you get your place. When I look at that, if you can get a space negotiated and get it as a vanilla box with 2 bathrooms,
Mhm.
and a good mechanical system in place, you
Yeah.
can do your construction cost for anywhere from $100 to $150,000
Really?
for a 4,000 square foot location. So we did our location for under $100,000, and it came to us with two bathrooms. We didn't have to touch the mechanical system, and we didn't do any work on the ceiling or lighting. So that saved us a ton of money there.
Mhm.
Then you've got a $75,000 to $80,000 equipment package from the franchisor. And then you've got another $30,000 in stuff, and probably another $30,000 to $50,000 in pre-sales marketing. So all in, you can get a location open for somewhere between $250,000 and $400,000. I expect to spend $300,000 to $350,000, depending mostly on TI.
Mhm. Okay, awesome, thanks.
But I'm all in on this brand.
Mhm.
I'm like just pushing my chips in. You know, we've talked about this in some of our calls about what's your number and what you're trying to do. One of the big things was I was looking for something that I wanted territory protection. So I was looking for a brand that had area development or area rep rights. And that's the way Kid Strong went through it. They've actually morphed a bit from what they originally started with. And I think really the way they're doing now, they still call us area developers, but they've more gone towards a multi-unit developer model than an area developer model.
Are you, do you have royalty share there? As the
Area developer, most like brands right now, area developer is like multi-unit agreement. AR is more what you're thinking, Terry.
Exactly.
Okay.
And with the area developer, they were selling them as larger territories before. Now they've really shrunk them drastically, where they want people coming in with, 3 to 4 or 5, maybe 5 units. They don't want to have a 6 to 10 unit agreement.
Sure.
Which is a different strategy.
Mhm.
So I signed my first license with the Boston area last year, which is basically 495, the greater metro area. So it's quite large, and it's only for 7 licenses. I think eventually you could probably get 20 to 25 of these things in that market. So once we get these things going, and once I figure out what the hell I'm doing and how to do this, I want to re-up my area developer agreement, which is going to be an interesting negotiation, and get more licenses, and then and then figure out where to go from there. Additionally, I have 6 licenses in New Hampshire. So I signed that deal 9 months after we signed our Boston deal. And then I also just signed a deal for 6 licenses in the Detroit area. New Hampshire, we're probably maxing out 8 or 9 units in that New Hampshire market that we've got. New Hampshire is pretty thinly. It's basically the whole state is basically a suburb of Boston. Hopefully nobody on this call is from New Hampshire, but just a suburb of Boston. But Detroit, again, with those 6 licenses, I think that's another market where you could probably have probably 15 to 20 of these things, from Detroit out to Ann Arbor, up to the Pontiac area. And so same play out there. Get this thing built. Before I open my last unit, I renegotiate, or before I even start my last unit, my area development agreement, because it only lasts 5 years or until my last unit is open. It's a bit of game theory there, where you got to be strategic, where that's where I can have some leverage and negotiate for more licenses. Because once I open that last unit, or the 5th year hits, my territory expires, and then I don't have the protection of each franchise territory itself.
Joe, how are you finding do you call your employees coaches, or what do you?
Yeah, they're called coaches. So we run the whole business with coaches, a head coach, and then a center director.
How are you finding these individuals? Because it's like mixed martial arts, right? So they have to have very specific skill sets.
No, it's so Kid Strong is membership based. 45-minute classes is the base model, where we work with kids to on whole child development, which means brain, physical, and character development. So we have a science-backed curriculum which focuses on the parents, which is designed by Kid Strong, and then we train our coaches so we call our coaches professional coaches, coaching these classes. But we train them. They don't really need to have a technical background in the sense that they've been coaches before. In fact, right now, out of we've got 7 coaches, only one of them was a coach before, a fitness coach. The ideal candidate for Kid Strong is, like a 3rd grade gym teacher that also coaches sports at home. That'd be the ideal candidate. How we're finding them: scrapping, fighting, posting, conversations. I mean, it goes back to the guerrilla marketing days, I think. I mean, we're using Career Plug, which is supposed to be posting a lot of places. We found a bunch of people there. I'm starting to stress out about trying to open in these other locations in New Hampshire and in Detroit. So I've been going through LinkedIn, trying to do a lot of posts there, just doing searches for people, anyone that's got a, my gym or Gymboree background, and trying to ping them, see if they are active or not. But, it's just like, you're looking for a needle in a haystack with some of these things. I think I might have actually gotten lucky, and I found someone in Virginia that's moving to Detroit, and she's helping with pre-sales here in Boston right now. So we're test driving her. She's test driving us. She's going to move to Detroit in a few months, and hopefully she'll be one of my directors or head coaches when we go up there. She can do either role. But I've got no magic for this yet, and we're scrambling, and I'm trying to teach my business partners that, we get an applicant in, you've got to respond to them within minutes, because everybody's got other job opportunities. And you guys all know this, right? When you interview people, they tell you exactly what you want to hear so that they can get hired. Oh, dude, all I want to do is work with kids. I've loved working with kids my entire life. And then you hire them, and then they got a marketing offer and they're out of there. We just had that happen.
Well, I imagine it's also not 9 to 5. You're probably untraditional hours, right?
Yes, just like a gym. We have very little hours in the morning, very, very few hours in the morning, only 3 days a week. Every weekday, we are basically right after school until about 7 or 8 p.m. And then you've got Saturday mornings are all your classes. And then you have birthday parties Saturday afternoons and Sunday afternoons, which we're trying to plant in. And then we'll run camps whenever there's no school. So basically, probably total of 3 months out of the year, you're running more traditional. You have traditional hour staffing, but the other 9 months of the year, you're really shut down effectively every day from 10:30 to 3 o'clock. There's nothing to do for business on a regular basis.
How many square feet do you have, Joe?
4,000 square feet is what you want. Okay. So you can do it between, as small as 3,700 would be tight, but you can do it. And you probably don't want to be much bigger than 4,200 square feet unless the rent's cheap.
So it's really more evenings and weekends.
Oh yeah.
Business.
Oh yeah. The nice thing about this compared to Orange Theory is Orange Theory was much more dynamic. We started Orange Theory. You have people there at 5 o'clock in the morning, and you're going until 8 or 9 o'clock at night. And then the only time off at Orange Theory really was the weekend afternoons. You're balls to the wall on weekends, Saturday and Sunday mornings from 6 a.m. until noon. But then after that, you close. But we're always open. And then also with Orange Theory, we had those early morning classes. It was always my fear was, getting that 4 a.m. call. Somebody got a flat tire, coach wasn't coming, somebody didn't show up for the desk. And it took a while to get the managers in place where they were the ones that were really taking care of that, not me. This business is nice. I don't have to worry about that morning crap. So now it's just, if we get a midday snowstorm, there might be a problem.
Well, do we this is Kid Strong validation with Joe. So I think I like validation like this. We all have good questions, and we'll be doing more of this. Joe, can you put me in touch? Can you put me in touch with the somebody at Kid Strong to see if they'd be open to doing something like this?
I could, but I was thinking about that, and I don't know if it's worth it, Eric. They're in the U.S. They're, as of right now. I mean, we'll talk about it, but they're basically sold out of all the A and B locations. So now what they're going to be doing is really doing that MUD concept in really the outskirts of all the towns. So you're going to get somebody that's outside that you give 1 or 2 units to. But then if they do that, I don't know if that would really make any sense to not give it to the franchisee who's got that main town.
I agree.
But Henry, you just mentioned something. Northern Virginia is in negotiations, and I'm pretty certain DC is as well. And so those locations, if they're not signed now, they probably will be by the end of the year.
So the goal is, I knew about Kid Strong, I think it was 2.5 years ago. Like, they were branded when I first interviewed them. The goal is to find brands like that where people are having early success, bring them in here, and that way we know about them. And I could have done that with Crumble too, back before they were blowing up. So, and I was talking about it, but I never had an avenue to bring them in to something like this. So with you guys out there looking at these different brands, and you think it'd be a viable one to bring into the mastermind to do that with, and I'll negotiate some referral fees, then just keep me in the loop on that. But I thought that was fantastic, Joe.
Well, that point that you're trying to negotiate and bring them in. This is the part that's really interesting right now, is the difference in my negotiation with this franchise from when I joined up, when I first contacted them in January of 2020 versus trying to sign my Detroit agreement this spring. It was a completely different animal. There was no humbleness. There was a lot of arrogance, and they were like, they changed everything, and they'd raised their prices already. And at this point, they only had, by March, April, we only had 16 open centers. Right now we have 23. I was the 21st open in October. Now we have 23. So it's still a very small brand. But the fact that everybody just saw it and everybody jumped in, and there was like, raise the price, be more difficult, all that stuff. I mean, it was, it's interesting watching. And I think the owners, the founders are good people, but money gets involved and humbleness goes out the window, even though you try to be humble. It's an interesting change watching that.
Yeah, go back and listen to the podcast that I did with them. Jared put it out there. Go listen to that podcast, and they are just the beginning stages. There's going to be a lot of humility at that point. A lot. They didn't have many. So when you listen to that, remember, this was then, that was then, and this is now, where Joe just like, they don't have a lot of good turf left. And so that's interesting. Yeah, and then Brian said, let's do a service model like this. So I'll bring in Butch with Boulder Designs and Border Magic, and you'll see a difference. He's just a good old boy. And he's very passionate, and he's very like, he's helpful to a fault to his franchise. Like, he'll get on a plane and go see franchisees versus, doing like I would, like be the CEO. And let's and we'd be doing things very different. But that's part of the reason I'm starting the franchisor mastermind, to find good brands that, one, I can invest into or have equity in, but also that are just like really cool brands with franchisors that are really passionate about helping out their franchisees. And guys, they're out there. And at times, Caleb, have to remind me, but let's let some mastermind members in on some of the calls that we're doing with the franchisors, just so they could hear that. And it's kind of refreshing to hear the passion at different times. So, well, awesome, guys. Well, now I know what's happening. I don't see what's, who said, Brian? There's something going on. I know there's private conversations. There's things that I don't see. And you're doing everything that I do when I'm on other calls, and it's really annoying me right now. But that's what I love. I love it. So anyway, I am going to close out the meeting and go see my family. No, I'm going to talk to Linda. We have a call right after this. If anybody else wants to have a quick call about the mastermind, just let me know. I'm going to give Linda a call, and I will see all of you later. Have a Merry Christmas, everyone.
Thank you guys. Happy holidays.
Merry Christmas.
Thanks for listening to me.
Merry Christmas.
Have a good one.
Merry Christmas.
Everyone.
Merry Christmas.
See you guys.
Hey, Eric.
Should we just stay here?
We could. I mean, I actually don't have too much time, so I mean,
Let's do it. Let's
We
do it
can-
fast.
okay. Well, first of all, thanks for the drinks the other day. I didn't realize, no one realized you paid and left. At Vander, whatever place that is.
Oh, that was fun. You're welcome.
Yeah, that was awesome. And then did you end up speaking to Chris Sankovich, my buddy from my old